Okay, last video for this paper. 4.3. The bar graphs below show the number of visitors per hour entering the Denver Zoo on 4 days of the week. So we've got Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, and here it tells you the different times and the number of visitors. So there's a lot going on here. But again, go to the questions and they generally help us understand what's going on. It says use the graph above, the graph above to answer the following questions. 4.3.1. According to the graph, on which day do most people visit the zoo? Okay, now if you look at this, you should be able to see, well, Saturdays is kind of where it's at, right? Which makes sense because people also work during the week, right? So they often will take their families, etc. on a Saturday. So 4.3.1, and you just say Saturday, and we are done. Okay, so some of these questions are easier than others. It says, give one reason why it cannot be said with certainty that 12 on a Monday is not a very popular time for visitors to enter the zoo. Well, the reason you can't say that is because we have no data on Monday, right? How do we know anything about Monday? I mean, it might even be closed on Monday. We don't know anything. So you say, well, the reason that we cannot say much about it is that we aren't given data. So Monday is not shown on graph. Okay, and that is the reason, right? We can't talk about things we don't have data on, right? And sometimes even if we do have data, that doesn't mean we should talk on it, right? Let's move on. 4.3.3. Describe two possible trends that relate to the number of visitors and the hourly times visitors enter the zoo. Okay, so it's a little bit of a tricky one. Let's look at this again. So it says, describe two possible trends that relate to the number of visitors and the hourly times visitors enter the zoo. So we can see that the number of visitors increase, right, to about 12. So do you see that it starts off slow and it increases until 12 on weekdays, and then it decreases, right, again until 4. We can see that. Okay, we can see that there on weekdays. Okay, then you could say the number of visitors on the weekend is more than the number in the weekdays, right? Because it asks us to talk about the number of visitors and hourly time visitors, right? Hourly times visitors into the zoo, right? So we can talk about it increasing until 12 and decreasing after 12, and that it's more popular on the weekend, right, than it is on Sundays. So let's go and do that, right? So we can say, okay, firstly, more popular on weekends. And what do I mean by more popular? It means more visitors. Oh, that was a nasty arrow. More visitors, right? There's 1 because it asks for 2. Then you can say visitors increase until 12 and decrease after 12. Okay, and that is kind of steady, and that's more on weekdays. Okay, so it just says, please just give me some insight. So there's lots of things you could have said, but that's some of it. Okay, let's now look at the last question of this paper, right, and also the last question of this video. Kia Tomete states that at 9 on Saturdays, the number of visitors entering the gates is nearly double the number of visitors at 9 on Tuesdays. Give 2 reasons to justify the statement. Okay, so look here. Okay, so it says at 9 on a Saturday. So it's basically saying compare this, and I'm just going to get a little highlighter. So I'm comparing this, and it says to Tuesdays, to this. Okay, so you could say the number indicated by the height of the column on the Saturday is a little more than double the height on the mean number of Tuesday. You could say people work during the week. We've talked about this again. People work during the week and they're off on the weekends, and they go with their families to the zoo on the weekends, right? So there's lots of things you could say there. It just says give 2 reasons. So the 2 reasons I'm going to give is I'm going to say 4.3.4, right? I'm going to say people work during the week. People work during the week. That's my first one. And then possibly I'm going to say there's more activities at the zoo. More activities at the zoo on Saturday. And that makes sense because remember, they're going to put all the activities on the days where people are coming, right? Because it's to attract them. Okay, and you could say maybe it's cheaper on the weekends. There's lots of different reasons you could give there, but those are my two. Okay, that is us done with this question, done with this video, done with this paper. Smashed it.